The Florida Gators men's basketball team is off to a 1-0 start. Basketball season's back. I can tell you now this team is going to take years off my life. We'll talk about that here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to a late live episode of Locked On Gators. The Florida Gators men's basketball team is 1-0. I am Brandon Olsen, your host of Locked On Gators. You can find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. This is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And while, yes, Ray Graves Goat, while I do see you saying that, this season looks to be fun, it's going to be fun, but it's also going to drive me absolutely nuts because I can already see how some of these things are going to shake out, right? Like Florida in the first half shot incredibly inefficient from three. I don't have the numbers in front of me. ESPN's app is being very weird. But shot incredibly inefficient from three. Actually, they were 3 for 17 and USF is 6 for 15, if I remember from sending a message to the subtext group, which if you want to be a part of that, the link's in the description below. But it's very clear that the Florida Gators this year are going to live and die by the three ball, which is fine. I mean, you look at the shot chart for Florida, and it's very heavily either around the perimeter or right inside the paint, because that's what efficient basketball is, right? And that's what Todd Golden wants. If you've ever seen Todd Golden do his little do his like seminars, I guess we'll say, like a coaching seminar, he sits there, talks about analytics, and he says, hey, the most efficient shots in basketball are catch and shoot threes and around the rim twos, and we want to get as many of those opportunities as possible. And Florida got a lot of those opportunities. I do think I think the potential of this team is very high. And I'm not usually one to go, potential. But it's rare for a team to bring back as much production as this Florida Gators team brought back, because Walter Clayton Jr. was here last year and productive last year. Will Richard was here last year and productive last year. Alex Condon was here last year, pretty productive last year. Thomas Huck was here last year, pretty productive last year. Denzel Aberdeen was here last year, pretty productive last year. Then you bring in the portal additions that they got this past offseason of Sam Alexis, who moved in the post pretty decently. He tried to extend out the three-point range a couple times. Don't think he landed one of them. But his post game looked pretty refined. Had a couple hook shots go up there. Denzel Aberdeen looks much better this year than he did last year. I do think last year one of his issues was that he was very streaky. But also I feel like his playing time was streaky. It was just like randomly, he just wouldn't play. But Ruben Chinyelu irritated me at times. There was maybe 8 minutes left in the game. He had the ball in the post, double teamed under the basket. I get it. You're a big man. You're under the basket with the ball and you want to go up. But Will Richard is in the corner to his right where he had a passing lane. And Will Richard's like, hi, I'm here. Like, throw it up here. And he just didn't do that. And that drives me crazy. Again, I understand you want around the rim twos and catch and shoot threes, but you got to play smart basketball. This is one of those things. And I do think that it's important when you talk about analytics, and I like analytics. I know a lot of people don't like analytics. Here's the fact of the situation. It doesn't matter how you feel about analytics. Todd Golden is a very, we'll say, very analytically oriented coach, and he's going to live and die by the analytics. And when you are playing for a very analytics-driven coach, like if you've never watched Moneyball, first off, go watch Moneyball. But there's certain points in the movie where they're talking to players and like, hey, we know you want to do this, but analytics say this is better. And so you must play the way that analytics say you should in order for things to work here. Like, we can say we're taking an analytically oriented approach, but if we don't play like that, then it doesn't matter. And again, analytics, a lot of it's about the process, not just the result. And so in Moneyball, they say, hey, in order to operate with this approach, you need to take some more pitches. Even if you might get a single, you might get, a better pitch where you can do more with it later on in the at-bat. We want to have them throw this many pitches at him. All right. In basketball, Todd Golden's approach is going to be open catch and shoot threes, around the rim twos, get to the free throw line, convert those opportunities. So when I talk about analytics, I talk about analytics more with basketball than baseball because this team is going to live and die by analytics. And so we talk about, you're not going to see this team shoot many mid-range jumpers unless it's kind of down towards the end of the shot clock, or if they're just really open. And even then, and this is a specific Todd Golden thing, where he said, not every mid-range jumper is a bad jumper. But if that's not a strength of yours and you're shooting like that, that's a bad jumper. So you could talk about like a DeMar DeRozan, where it's like, yeah, the mid-range jumper might be the least efficient shot in basketball. I believe specifically baseline mid-range jumper is the least efficient shot in basketball. But if you're someone like DeMar DeRozan or James Harden or Devin Booker or KD, and you're really good at that, you can keep doing that. And so this team, you have to stay focused on around the rim twos, catch and shoot threes. The thing is, though, because again, this is a process-oriented team and a process-oriented approach, sometimes those catch and shoot threes, even though they're good looks, even though they're efficient looks, aren't going to land. Okay? And Florida at halftime, what did we say the number was? 3 for 17 from three, which means they ended the game 5 for 25. So they shot 2 for 8 from three in the second half. They really started hammering home the around the rim twos. They really started getting more free throws by that way. USF shot 14 free throws tonight, or made 14 free throws tonight. Florida made 27. That's another thing. This team last year had such horrible nights from the free throw line. And a good part of that was Tyrese Samuel would be hanging and banging in the paint and get to the line, and he was terrible at converting them. This time, that wasn't so much the issue, right? I mean, you look at who shot free throws. Walter Clayton, 7 for 7. Will Richard, 3 for 3. Elijah Martin, 7 for 10. Alex Condon, 3 for 5. Thomas Huck, 2 for 2. Denzel Aberdeen, 3 for 4. Ruben Chiniello, in 2 for 2. But again, you've got to do the smart things here. And also Alex Condon, heat-seeking missile when it comes to blocking shots. I know he only had one tonight, but you could tell he was hunting for more of them, which is another thing where I do feel like you'll probably hear or you'll probably see a shift from him of less blocks, like less just always going for blocks, more just disrupting shots. And that's an important part of make them miss. But Alex Condon looks better. I know, this is game one. You can chalk it for a million reasons, right? You can say, hey, it's game one, so it doesn't matter if anybody looked good. It doesn't matter if anybody looked bad. This team is going to change. This team is going to adapt, and they're going to keep looking at things and keep going back to them. But I do think that this team, I think they will benefit from having multiple ball handlers. I do think that I feel like they kind of missed having a true floor general like Zion Pullen, because of course he is no longer with the Florida Gators. Last I heard, he was with the Heat in training camp. But I do think that this team at times looked like they kind of missed that. And you look in the first half, and when Walter Clayton would get doubled or when Elijah Martin would get doubled, there wasn't a panic, but they also weren't quickly making a decision to get out of that double. I do think that there was a serious consistent breakdown that worries me of USF got a lot of corner threes. Or actually, let me see if I can pull up the chart here. Yeah, they had that left corner specifically, which if you were watching on TV was the bottom of the screen, a lot in that first half. Like they hammered them home in that first half. And it wasn't just if one specific guy was out there. It was multiple people there, and they just kept hammering home those corner threes. And they were open, clean looks. Those can't keep happening. I see you, Mudkip. I love you. I see you, Ray Graves. I see you, Duval. We will get to the chat in a second, but first we are going to get a quick word from our sponsors. Hey, Locked On Gators fans, it's time to recognize the Roy Player of the Week. And so far this season, we've pulled over $20,000 to support players on Roy. Micro deposits lead to massive change. And with the Roy app, you can direct your support to the athletes you love, ensuring that all funds go to the specific player you choose. Okay? Best part too, it's risk-free. If the athlete transfers or doesn't deliver the content, you get your money back. This week, we at Locked On Gators are supporting Aaron Gates. I don't think that's surprising to anyone. We just pitched in $100, and I'd love for you to join me. Even $10 makes a difference, by the way. So you can show Aaron Gates the love and keep him connected to our school. Remember, pay today, celebrate tomorrow. Your support helps set up your team for future success. Also, Roy's got an exciting giveaway where they're going to give away 2 tickets to any game in November. So you download Roy, create an account, enter referral code LOCKEDSPACEON, and you're entered. And if you're already on Roy, just make any contribution and you get added to that too. Download Roy now, join the NIL game with no subscriptions and no fees. And be sure to check him out on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Roy_return_on_you for more info. Roy, support the players, change the game. And I don't know about you, I like having a bit of fun sometimes. And so Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. So here's how it works, right? When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not just dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Halloween was a trip, I'll say that. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. So all you got to do is remember to make Z-Biotic your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So step 1, drink pre-alcohol. Step 2, drink responsibly. Drink water. Just saying. Keep doing that. Step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnCollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. So head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnCollege. Use code LockedOnCollege to check out for 15% off. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And we're going to get to the chat as always. We wrap up these live shows by getting to the chat, and it takes us however long it takes us. Sometimes that's quicker. Sometimes it's not so much. But Ray Graves Goat saying, now the season looks to be fun. I'm going to revisit that one because, again, fun, but I can tell that it's going to be really fun. Like there's going to be a game where they go, 8 for 26 from 3. And we're going to look at it and we're going to say, oh, that's just brutal. But those games are going to happen, and your process is to get those shots and take them. And you have to continue taking them. And so when that's your process, sometimes it's not going to go exactly in your favor. Antonio said, we'll shake off the rust. I absolutely agree. And the team did look rusty. Like, especially that first half was brutal. Brutal in the first half. And again, this team, they're still going to figure out, hey, who can consistently score in the paint against other people? Because even things that you've done in training camp or practice, whatever you want to call anything, it's different when you're playing against someone that you've played against multiple times and you know their tendencies and you know how to handle them and you know what you can do against them. But if you can show, hey, like Sam Alexis, if you can show that, hey, I can consistently get around the rim looks at the post no matter who I'm going against, they're going to give you those opportunities. Like Todd Golden's going to give you those chances. And so then you maybe see some more of that. Will Richard and Walter Clayton went off tonight? Yeah, they had a combined 54 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 2 on 20 for 32 shooting, 4 for 12 from 3, and 10 for 10 from the free throw line with 3 turnovers. I don't think that's bad at all. Walter Clayton Jr. had an 80.2 true shooting percentage. Will Richard at 68.2. It was a great game for them. And again, they are the guys where they need to do that. Like, it's Walter Clayton, Will Richard, and Elijah Martin need to be able to score consistently and have nights where they go off. Duval, top 4 team in the SEC. Yeah, I think so. I'm torn on making a deep run in the SEC tournament. Not that I don't think they can do it or can't do it. Simply put, I get nervous about that deep run because of what happened last year. Todd Golden in the SEC tournament was like, hey, we're running a 7-8 man rotation consistently. And those guys are going to play a lot of minutes. And then I know Micah Hanlogton got hurt in a freak accident. But I get a little nervous about any injuries piling up there. So big for Will and Walter to return. Yep. Imagine this team without them, how different it would look. That this team would not look that good without them available. Walter Clayton, 29 points, which he had over 30 in the elimination game against Colorado last year. So it would have been back-to-back 30s. Agree with Chin. I'm assuming Graves, that was about the under the basket thing, which is or maybe just him being frustrating because he was frustrating. But again, he's someone who at Washington State last year, now at Florida, like he's going to be learning on the job. And frankly, ideally, if everybody was healthy, meaning Micah Hanlogton, you wouldn't be seeing Ruben Chignello too much. And it's not a knock on him. It's just he's not your first or second best big man on the team. So, yeah. Mudkip, glad we're back with these, Brendan. Glad you're back, buddy. Missed you. Hope Elijah Martin plays way better. Yep. Again, this is one of those things where he's going to have to play better, but hopefully with time and comfort, that will happen. They played hard, a little too sloppy to start, but didn't choke it away. That's the thing, too. Second half, they really stepped up. Like the second half, they took a huge leap. And that's huge for this team to be able to just adapt at halftime, come back, and end up dominating a team that's playing you tough and was banging threes. Great depth, got to shoot better, but making free throws. Yep, yeah, it was. Don't get me started on the free throws from last year. Don't get me started on the free throws last year because that's one of the things. Like I know they're not easy to hit, but they're also the thing that you can work on best when you're by yourself. Yeah, Chignello isn't bad. He's got to stop getting turned around in the paint with a shiftier center. Yeah, I will also say that was one thing on defense where, first off, I don't know if anybody saw it, but there was one point in the second half where USF had 2 guys set screens, and Walter Clayton just went in between both of them and kind of just stood there. Like he was just like, I'm not moving. I'm like, no, not gonna happen. Do something about it. And he kind of just stood there. And I was very curious if they were kind of just like, hey, we're going to be right here doing what we do. And if you go on either side, someone else will handle it there. But yeah, Ruben Chignello does need to step up. I do think defensively, they looked like they were still trying to find their footing on a lot of things. I think getting set up defensively once USF crossed half court, I think they took a second to get set up defensively. And by took a second, I mean took a second too long to get set up defensively. And again, there were the breakdowns in the corner and a few late rotations. It's something where we saw this last year with the Florida Gators led by Todd Golden. And I think that we can comfortably say, hey, we saw this last year, but we also saw them clean things up when healthy. And I think that gives me a little bit of solace to not freak out in game 1 here for the Gators. Condon, 3 straight Condon messages because, he's good player there. Love his attitude, too. Like, he had the end one dunk, and he turned to the player that fouled him, and he kind of stared him down for a second, and then I think he saw the ref, and he's like, just going to nod my head right now. Yep, with a better team that keeps that shooting up in the second half, game would have been way closer. Will Richard said in the post-game interview, we got to stop giving up transition threes. Absolutely. That was just transition threes and alley-oops was like, those were the two things. And USF was like, hey, we're gonna around the rim twos and catch and shoot threes. That's what we're doing in transition there. USF's gonna be a problem in their league. Absolutely. Yeah, that's not a bad basketball team in any way, shape, or form. That's not a bad team at all. Florida's going to live in, I'm assuming, Duval, you mean Florida's going to live and die by the three when you said they, just because, things get lost. I talk a lot. They're going to live and die by the three this season. Yep, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And again, I'm ready for the game where we come out here and we look at, let's see, what game can I pick on the schedule that's going to be a completely random game, but I'm going to pick it anyway. We'll say I'm ready for the game against Arizona State on December 14th, where Florida shoots, 8 for 26 from three, or worse, 6 for 25, whatever it may be. I'm ready for that because we know it's coming. It's going to happen. That's again a thing where this is a process-oriented team. They're going to play to the process regardless of the results, which I respect. I fully respect the team going, hey, this is what we're going to do, whether it works or not. This is how we're doing it. Last year's team would have lost this, I feel. Maybe they kept blowing lead. Like Todd Golden, that's another thing. Todd Golden has a tendency to blow leads, and this time they didn't. So chef's kiss that. Yeah, sucks that Urban couldn't play. Whenever he's available, he's going to be a killer. I mean, he just has to be. I think that's where the free throw percentage improvement comes in. Off nights can be carried by line production like tonight. Yeah, this team, they didn't have a lot of free throw attempts in the first half. But in the second half, they just started attacking the line, getting to the paint, or attacking the paint, getting to the line, and converting on those opportunities. And that's something that, again, this team is going to need to rely on if the three ball's not there. Around the rim twos, catch and shoot threes. Walter Clayton needs to take over more. That's my thing. I don't know if he's got the ball handle ability to consistently take over and create for himself. I think he is going to be somewhere where we have to figure out what are you going to look like at the SEC level without Zion pulling or without a true point guard for the entire season. Because I do think that's an important question for this team to answer because you're going to face teams that, like Alabama, when they go full press, it's going to be real, or full court press. It's going to be really interesting to watch how Florida handles that. Like that's going to be crazy. Mystery Man is very upset about my opinion. He clicked on the show though, which is really interesting. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but come on. Yeah. Look, Elijah Martin, like I also understand there's times where, because you call him a free throw merchant. And there's times where, like I don't know how to say this, but there's times where your shooting percentage is going to take a dip because you are getting to the line, like because you're trying to get to the line. And Elijah Martin was missing a lot of threes, and then he started getting to the line and started working. But yeah, I do think that you have to kind of take that give and take, I guess, with when you're getting to the line a lot, might have some free throw or might have some converting issues, field goal percentage drops. Free throws can help you out there. And again, this Florida Gators team, yep, it is an experience. Out of the Mystery Man, super upset, sensitive fella here. How about them Gators, Austin? It is just one game. Yeah, but hey, it's one game. It's your only sample size that you have for this team, though. So it's fair. Halftime adjustment was great. Maybe Golden can give Napier advice. I'm gonna just stick my hands up there on that one. And yeah, I'm gonna let that one rock, and probably going to just call that one there before we start dunking on Napier on a Monday night when I haven't recorded my show yet. So we are going to talk about, I'm about to talk about Billy Napier. for the next 30 minutes, or a Billy Napier-led team for the next 30 minutes, at least. We'll say that. But thank you all so much for tuning in on a Monday night. We will be here as often as we can. I'm not going to commit to showing up for every Florida Gators basketball game and being available for every Florida Gators basketball game just because, they happen not every Saturday at this time. So we'll see. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the Florida Gators basketball team a lot. Women's basketball, by the way, also dominated tonight. Didn't talk about that one as much. I try to talk about them when I can, but that game was unfortunately not really watchable in the sense that women's college basketball does not get enough broadcast time. And so can't really speak on a game that wasn't able to watch, but was just watching the stats as they went up. But thank you so much for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. We'll be back tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow is in about 45 minutes. But we'll be back in a couple hours to talk Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.